What do you think of the whole Montreal Screwjob?
It's bullshit, man. Number one, if Bret, it's a work, man. Well, part of what was wrong with the WWE at that time was the fact that the inmates were running the asylum. I didn't agree with any of that crap, man. The clique. I was writing at one point for Vince, and Vince would wind up getting Bret and Shawn on the phone and would have to talk to them for 3 or 4 hours, trying to talk them into an idea or an angle. Are you serious? I would have fired both them bastards. It's just, it's bullshit, man. This is a business. Treat it like a business. Bret, you didn't win that belt, believe it or not. You did not win that belt. It was handed to you on a silver platter. So this Montreal Screwjob, my ass, man. It was such bullshit what those guys were doing, and the fact that Sonny was involved in it made it even worse.
I don't know that much about it. And originally when it first happened, I didn't doubt it happened. But as the years pass and the things that have transpired with the getting back, I know how I would have felt if that happened to me, and Barry too. But it's like, it may have been a work.
See, I thought it was a work right from the beginning, and I don't know if it was or not, but it's wrestling.
Yeah.
And to bring Bret back, how many times, and make him millions and all that, you just don't do that. Unless it's work, right? I don't know.
And see, now you have a reduced second volume of Flair and his daughter and Bret, right? And Natalie, and they're calling that the new Montreal Screwjob. So, was it in their back pocket all this time?
And I tell you what, I love Bret, and he's one hell of a worker, and so is Shawn, and so is Vince.
Yeah.
There's 3 of the best workers in the business, and they could have pushed this all the way to the end.
Yeah.
And really made it look.
Hey, more power to
Hey, when you can fool the boys, then it's the best angle ever,
yeah.
and they fooled a lot of people.
I think a lot of it was believable because guys like Bret.
Yeah.
And they sort of felt pissed off. So that added to the fuel.
And Shawn's getting the big push, and he's a hell of a worker. Vince has got to be one of the best workers in the business, right?
Yeah.
So it could have been a work.
I was at ringside, and when it happened, I knew Bret was going to WCW then. Like I said, everybody has their own version of it. And I heard a version from The Office, and then I heard a version that came from Bret's side, which is not exactly the same version. I understand both people. The only thing is, in this business, there's always somebody that's going to help you get to where you are. When guys were putting Bret over to make him the champion, to make him what he was, at one point, the company made him a lot of money, gave him credibility, made him famous. Bret Hart became a superstar. My vision of it, my vision of a situation like that is, once that happens, he's leaving. He already had a contract signed with WCW. He was set. Do them the favor of leaving the correct way. But there was heat between him and Shawn. He didn't want to drop to Shawn. For me, that's not doing the right thing. Vince made him a millionaire, made him a lot of money. Do the guy a favor, drop the belt, so at least he can continue working on his business. And you're already set anyways.
And again, you hear stories now. It was this one's idea. It was this one's idea. It was everybody's idea. It's such a long story, but what happened? I pitched to Vince, and the only reason I pitched it to Vince was there were phone conversations between Vince and Bret, and I was on the line because Vince wanted a third party. So Vince pitched Bret every scenario possible, and Bret poo-pooed everything. everything. So now we were getting late into the night, and we were still trying to come up with what are we going to do, what are we going to do, what are we going to do. And I remember, out of pure frustration and just wanting to go home, I said, it had to be 9 o'clock. I said, screw it, Vince. I said, have freaking Shawn put him in his sharpshooter and have the referee ring the bell. I said, screw it. Like, it was just out of pure frustration, bro. Like, enough with this. Like, we need to do something. So after that, that was during the week. I didn't have any contact with Vince. I didn't have any contact with Vince the day of the Survivor Series. I had no idea what the finish was going to be. And I sat there in front of the TV, and I remember I was sitting next to Taker, and it was exactly what I had pitched Vince. And I remember sitting there saying, holy shit, like, I can't believe, like, that's what he done. At the end of the day, bro, I wished it had never happened. I'm not proud of that. People say I take credit for the idea. I don't take credit for the idea. I wished it would have never happened.
What's your opinion on the people, Bill Eadie was one of them that recently told us he thought the Montreal Screwjob was a work due to...
If you were a wrestler, I think you would think that. And don't think I didn't have suspicions of it, but there were just, everything that happened, it was pretty clear to me that it wasn't. I mean, I know from the wrestlers that worked in the company that were really furious that night, and I ended up becoming really good friends with Bret over it. Because we were not, we didn't talk or anything. It was...
Because he was upset because you said Ric Flair was...
Because I think Ric Flair was a better wrestler than him. Yeah. Maybe he had surpassed Ric by then, and he was really mad that I hadn't figured it out, or whatever. But, and Bret's a phenomenal wrestler, one of the best that I've ever seen. So, it's not like... And Ric is one of the greatest I've ever seen. So, if I said Ric Flair was better than him, and maybe he was and maybe he wasn't, it's not a knock on Bret. I always, from the first time I ever saw Bret wrestle, I always thought he was a great wrestler. But
Ric accomplished more over time, certainly, I would say.
Oh, he had more longevity, yeah, and carried territories longer and things like that. They were different. They were different types of wrestler anyway. But as far as it's not even that, just with the he sent me documents, and he just, I remember the first time he just goes, I'm going to tell you all this, and he goes, and everything I'm going to tell you, in time, you're going to know that it's all true. I'm going to prove it. And everything he said pretty much was, in time, came out, like he recited the conversation in the dressing room that he had with Vince to me, and I later got the tape because he was wired, and it was, pretty much word for word what he said. Everything he said was pretty much as it happened, and I know a lot of wrestlers who think that, and I think if I wasn't so close to it, I might even think it, but there's so many things that have happened over the years where it's like, it's not even a doubt in my mind at all. It obviously was it's what it was.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Support us on patreon.com for $1.99 a month to watch our full shoot interviews ad-free and help our channel grow. Follow us on Twitter @the Hannibal TV for instant updates.